It is Friday, the 19th of July, 2024. We're looking at the almost full moon. What time is it? It must be 9 something now. 9:19. And apparently the moon will be officially full early Sunday morning, apparently, early on the 21st. I thought it would be full tomorrow, but I guess I'm mistaken. So anyway, we're just testing out a 3x teleconverter I bought this morning, added to a 400 millimeter lens. So the focal length that we're using here is 1200 millimeters, and the lens in question is a 400 millimeter f5.6 maximum opening Nikkor EDIF lens. It's a Nikon manual focus lens from the late 1970s, early 1980s. I have it set to f8, one stop down from the maximum aperture of 5.6. And then between the lens and the camera, I have 3x teleconverter. It's a Kenko Teleplus Pro 300. That I acquired this morning for $40 Canadian, which is about $20 US. Just kidding, but it's really, the Canadian dollar's not looking too good compared to the American these days. But yeah, like maybe 30 US. So in any case, pretty cheap optical accessory here that turns my 400 millimeter lens into a 1200 millimeter lens, and it looks like it does a pretty good job. I really was not expecting all that much. I was expecting it to be quite soft, but at least in terms of what I'm seeing on the screen, it isn't. And I have to say, and I've said it in previous clips, even with a absolute best 1200 millimeter telephoto lens, let's say like Apo 1200 millimeter lens, assuming something like that exists, or a Zeiss 1200 millimeter lens, or even a Nikon one for that matter, you know, you're going to have atmospheric distortion. You're going to have vibration from the wind and so on. So in real terms, you know, that ultra sharp 1200 millimeter lens may not be ridiculously sharper than what I have right now. Oh, I'm seeing a nice glow around the moon now. I'm actually, the lens is too tight, but a bit of a glow, you know, in the atmosphere, in the clouds, haze around the moon. So I think maybe it's time to stop using the 3x teleconverter and go back to the 400 millimeter without it. But I just want to do a little short clip. Let's stop down f11 here. So now we're at f11. I don't want to stop down more than that. I'm going to raise the camera a little bit. Yeah, so we're right dead center now. So I just changed the f-stop to f11. I didn't change anything else. So it should be somewhat darker than what we were looking at. Looks pretty good to me though. 30th of a second, 1250 ISO. Yeah, so they recommend stopping down a couple of stops from the maximum aperture when you're using a 2x teleconverter. And even 2x teleconverters aren't that great in terms of sharpness. In fact, I'm really beginning to think that this 3x teleconverter may not be any less sharp than a 2x teleconverter. In other words, it may not be any worse than a 2x teleconverter in terms of sharpness. I have had El Cheapo 3x teleconverters in the past, like quite a long time ago. And they were terrible. They were not very good at all. But this, I have to say, looks pretty good. So again, Kenko 3 times Teleplus, as a Pro 300. Kenko Nikon AFD made in Japan. That's what I'm reading on this. So this set me back $40 this morning. And what can I say? I think I got my $40 worth. I think I'm very happy to have this. I do have 2 times teleconverters, and I rarely use them because they do degrade the sharpness. And so that was sort of my philosophy. Well, if you're going to have your sharpness degraded, you know, maybe you should go all the way to 3 times, you know, and see how that works out. If it's not much worse than a 2 times, you might as well go with a 3 times and ditch the 2 times, you know, and just stick to 1.4 times teleconverters, which tend not to degrade the image very much at all, and 3 times. So I think I may be selling off some of my 2 times teleconverters. Probably keep some of them, but I think this 3 times is going to replace some of my 2 times teleconverters, and I'll just either use 1.4 times or 3 times teleconverters from here on in, except for the special purpose ones. Some teleconverters have a built-in macro helicoid, so they're very useful. I'll hang on to those. But yeah, the regular 2 times, I think I'll probably not be using them much anymore. So I guess that's it. Very happy with what I've got here in terms of what I'm seeing on the screen on the camera. Looks more than reasonably sharp. Not tack sharp. I'm not saying it's tack sharp. I'm not saying it's tack sharp at all. But it's sharp enough. It's certainly $40 worth of sharp in terms of turning my 400mm lens into a 1200mm lens. And I guess we'll wrap it up on that note.